Welcome to ASM's Track Tips. I'm Andy from ASM, and today we're going to go over Blackhawk Farms. It is a 1.95 mile track located on the border of Illinois and Wisconsin. Very fun track. It's got a lot of fast and flowing corners, a lot of momentum sections, and it even has a few straights to open up that power. So let's take a lap around Blackhawk Farms. And before I begin, I just want to clarify, we are doing this in something of moderate power. We'll say a 3,000 pound car at 300 horse on street tires. So obviously the line might be different if you're in a Miata or if you're in a 900 horsepower Evo or something. So flying lap, you're coming out of 7. This is probably the heaviest braking zone. Hard on the brakes and pretty average corner here. There are some rumbles on the exit you can really get out on. Get that exit speed out. You should, depending on your car, be able to stay flat through 2. Early apex, get all on the rumbles on the inside of 2. Entering 3, you're gonna stay up more on the left side of the track, and you're gonna kind of late apex this whole carousel. And right as you're around here, you should be able to start getting on throttle, and the car is gonna push you all the way to the edge coming out of 3. You'll be flat through the little chicane here into 3A, hard braking zone, usually downshift down into 2nd gear depending on the car. Very tight. Keep it tidy through here. Flat through, not a corner, 3B, I think they actually call this. And coming into 4 is a little lift, turn in and back on it. You might have to tap the brakes there a little bit, but you can carry a lot of speed through 4. On the exit of 4, make sure not to hit these rumble strips out here. They are quite harsh. You can definitely bend a rim. Coming out of 4, stay way to the right. You're gonna turn late into 5. Don't turn too early or you'll pinch yourself off on the exit. So turn in late, right by this little service road. Aim for the end of the rumble strips on the left side and stay on it. And you will just creep out to the edge of the track. Be very smooth here, nothing to upset the car. Very fast corner, probably one of the trickiest on this track. 6, hard brake zone, turn in, hug those curbing on the right, but do not get up on the curbing because it's very harsh. Come way out here, this curbing on the exit is also very harsh, but right after the curbing you can actually get your 2 left wheels on this little entrance road, and that will help set you up for this corner, which doesn't have a number. And you should be able to go through this corner just about flat out, come down, and this is probably flat again, but you need to make sure you're on the brakes immediately after this little kink, and the car might get a little squirrely and the back end might dance because you're kind of braking as you're trying to finish that little kink. Hard braking, turn in a little late. Again, rumble strips way out here, very harsh, but the ones at the very end you can usually get a wheel or so on and power down the straight, and that's it. Blackhawk Farms just came out of the last corner, heading down the straight. Turn 1 is the heaviest braking zone of this track. We're braking around the 3 marker. Heavy brake. Try to get the late apex here. Turn in, come out, hit some of the curbings, but don't get too far out. They do get a little rough. Turn 2 here is flat out, kind of early apex. Get on those curbs on the left. Enter 3 a little bit on the left, turn in, make this one nice arc, getting back on throttle, letting the car push out just a little bit if needed. This right left is flat, shouldn't have to lift. Heavy braking zone, tuck it in tight here, and stay on throttle, on throttle, on throttle. Let off a little bit, get the front end to bite, turn in, back on throttle. Use that service road as a reference, turn in a little late, and stay on throttle all through here. Heavy braking zone here into 6. Get the late apex so you can get the run out of there. From here on should be full throttle. Use the entrance road if you need. Don't lift through here. Back on it all the way down into 7. The kink right before 7 should be able to be flat out with this car. Heavy on the brakes right after. Back end dances a little bit. Late apex. Let the car track out, hitting some of the curbing but not too far out. Many of the curbs at Blackhawk get really rough if you get a little too far out. You're safe if you use the first foot or 2. Beyond that, you're going to bend a rim. And finish and celebrate. All right, I know a bunch of you guys are track junkies and love to get out and try new tracks, so we've developed a little score system to give you an idea of how fun or risky or technical this track is. All right, fun factor for Blackhawk Farms, I'm gonna give it a solid 7. It's got a lot of high-speed, fast-flowing corners that I really enjoy. Straights are fun too, but too many straights, things can get a little boring, so give it a 7. All right, risk factor. Now this track isn't the safest track. There are some spots where there's not a lot of runoff. I'd give it a 6, 10 being the most risky, and 10 being closer to like Road Atlanta type risky, where there's a lot of high speed, a lot of high walls that you would get seriously injured if something were to happen. So I'll give this one a 6. Technicality. This track does have some technical corners. 5 can be tricky, 3 can be tricky. So it's got some technical stuff to it, and it's not a very long track. Some of the longer tracks can be really hard to master, but it does have some tricky corners to it, so I'm gonna give it a 6.5. All right, the ASM final score. This is how I rate this track personally, and I give this track a 7.5. It is a personal favorite track of mine because it's very close to home for me. It was actually my first road course I was on. It's got a lot of very momentum sections of the track with only 2 long straights. Not a real fan of a lot of straights just because it's all about power, and let's be real, I don't have the fastest cars. So.